Chapter 1, Where It All Begins. This is how the story begins. Not in boring cubicles, surrounded by paperwork, dealing with salaries all day long, but in this classroom, where we're nurturing stories inside of not only us, but in you, in everyone. We are storytellers. We know you have something to say to the world, and we want to tell it for you. Chapter 2. This is how we grow. We don't go through life, we grow through it. We learn from the best, from our lecturers to seasoned industry partners. We take initiatives and learn through hands-on experiences. Because theories are our friends, but practice is our soulmate. Along the way, hardship is inevitable, but we are equipped with a growth mindset and essential soft skills that help us embrace adversity and strive for the best. Chapter 3. Realize our true potential. Where do you think you'll find us? The answer is everywhere. In an office, sure, but also in services, NGOs, agencies, governments, or even startups. From getting you accredited internationally to sending you on to a global career, we're here for you for a lifetime. And at the end of the day, when your stories get told, that's when we've done our job. Who are we? We are Human Resource Management. Join our story.
Good morning, distinguished guests, colleagues, and students, also ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the RMIT Entrepreneurship Forum 2022. I'm Jinwoo, Interim Senior Program Manager for HRM and Entrepreneurship at RMIT Vietnam. It is my absolute pleasure and honor to be your host today. We are gathered today in a virtual space to gain greater insight into the future of Vietnam digital economy. Did you know that Vietnam is one of the fastest growing digital economies in the world, with the rapid growth of smart devices and digital market enabling people to be connected for different purposes? In other words, the dynamics of this economy and the market are getting more favorable for people who can explore their entrepreneurial journey in digital format. Today, we invited leading digital entrepreneurs in Vietnam who can share the secret of forming your smart entrepreneurship with you. Just a quick reminder that we are broadcasting this forum in 2 different languages, including English and Vietnamese. If you wish to listen to Vietnamese translation, please click the interpretation button at the bottom. And also you can mute the original audio so you can listen to the Vietnamese language only. Moving forward, let me briefly introduce the distinguished guests participating in our event today. First, Mr. Jinwoo, the Managing Director of BAEMIN Vietnam, joined us today. As you probably know, BAEMIN is a leading food delivery app based on the concept of sharing economies, which is getting widely popular globally. Recently, BAEMIN Vietnam celebrated 3 years anniversary in Vietnam. Also, Mr. Toan Nguyen, the founder and CEO of Maztermind and many other businesses, including the Craft House, ever since he graduated from RMIT. Maztermind is a board game producer, becoming widely popular not only in Vietnam and the global market through digital platforms. Another RMIT alumnus join us today, Ms. Xuan, the co-founder of Fonos, which is an app helping people to read more in their busy life. Probably if you are a fan of BAEMIN, just like me, you would recognize BAEMIN 362, also founded by Ms. Xuan. Last but not least, Ms. Natalie, Senior Director at Elsa Cope, the organization helping people to enhance their communication skills in English via AI-based speech recognition technology on smart devices. Natalie has 10 years experience in fintech banking investment sector, where Natalie co-founded a fintech startup with over $2 million in funding and headed research for Nguyen Investment Management in the US with over $300 million in assets under her management. From RMIT, we are delighted to welcome the presence of Professor Robert McLaren, Dean of School and Business Management, Associate Professor Nguyen, Head of the Management Department, Also, Nguyen, the lecturer of entrepreneurship, will join us in the panel discussion as a moderator. During today's forum, we will start with Professor McClellan's opening remark, followed by Mr. Song and Mr. Toan's presentations regarding how digital startups help us to solve the current pandemic while giving people to reach a greater market. After that, we are going to have a short Kahoot quiz hosted by our event team. After that, Ms. Xuan will share her insight on the uncertain nature of future customers via her experience with Fonos. After that, we will start the panel discussion moderated by Ms. Tu, and Ms. Natalie from Elsa will join the discussion as well. In the end, Associate Professor Nguyen will end our event with closing remarks. Now, I would like to invite Professor Robert McClellan, Dean of School of Business and Management, to deliver his welcome address. Please warmly welcome Professor Robert McClellan.
Thank you, Dr. Jinwoo. Can I extend welcome to distinguished guests, colleagues, students, ladies and gentlemen, and a special welcome to our speakers today, Mr. Jinwoo Song, General Director from BAEMIN, Vietnam, Mr. Toan Nguyen, Founder and Chief Executive Officer of Maztermind, Ms. Xuan Nguyen, Co-founder and Chief Operating Officer for Fonos, and Ms. Natalie, the Senior Director of International Expansion for the Elsa Corporation. A very pleasant morning to one and all. I'm Professor Bob McClelland, Dean of the School of Business and Management. And on behalf of the school, I sincerely thank and acknowledge every one of you who have extended help today for making this event happen. And it's my great pleasure to welcome all of you to the RMIT Entrepreneurship Forum 2022. And it's entitled Smart Startups, How Digitisation Helps Your Startup Journey. I believe the audience is here to know secrets of building up a successful smart business and platforms that create huge impact on our daily lives. And these examples are from BAEMIN, Maztermind, Fonos, and the Elsa Corporation. In fact, with more than 70 million smartphone users, Vietnam is one of the fastest growing and biggest digital markets in the world. And it attracts large numbers of foreign direct investors, as well as inspirations for young entrepreneurs through smart startups. Today, we would like to share great insights into digital startups with the distinguished panels who have established successes on their digital platforms. The event will feature expert speakers and insights from entrepreneurs from the leading digital platform businesses. And they will provide very different perspectives of establishing your smart startup journey. The experts will also share some of their thoughts and experiences, providing advice and signposting approaches for continued business success. I hope you will have an enjoyable and enriching session ahead today, and thank you again, one and all. Back to you, Dr. Jinwoo.
Thanks, Professor McClellan, for the welcome speech. We are now moving to the first presentation from our panel. Mr. Song will start with the topic of food tech company, how digital transformation and technology can help F&B business recover and thrive after COVID-19. During the presentation, please feel free to leave your questions in the Q&A box for the speakers. We will try to address all your questions in the panel discussion. Please welcome Mr. Song, Managing Director of BAEMIN Vietnam.
Okay, hello everyone. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Han, for introducing me. And it's my absolute pleasure to join this special forum, and happy to share our story for last kind of a couple of years. Especially, I want to highlight how we collaborate with our F&B partners so that we can help them to achieve the big success in the middle of the pandemic. Let me start from our brief company introduction, and then I will move on to the detailed story that how the BAEMIN help our F&B partner to achieve the big success in the pandemic. The next slide. So BAEMIN, so that's me, and then I'm currently in charge of CEO. And then before joining BAEMIN, I have experience from the consulting and also private equity fund based in Korea and also United Kingdom. So that's kind of a brief introduction of myself. And then as I joined BAEMIN, and especially BAEMIN Vietnam, I think that the Vietnamese market is quite robust in all the digitalization. So to me, it's a great learning journey to understand and also to develop their strategy to build a more strong platform in an emerging market. So so in this regard, I'm pretty much enjoying my role, working as a CEO for BAEMIN, and then I want to share more insight with you guys. Next, please. So let me briefly share the company profile. So we started our business back to 2019 by acquiring the local food delivery platform called BAEMIN. And then we have more than 420 employees. And then we have offices across the country, such as Hanoi and Da Nang and Ho Chi Minh and also Gan Tho, etc. Moving on to the next one. So so for last 3 years, we aggressively expanded our business in terms of location and also services as well. So we expanded to more than 21 cities, and then we achieved #1 in the customer satisfaction. And then more interesting story will come as we will expand to the new vertical. So maybe from the second half, you will see more exciting new business going forward. Next, please. So this is kind of a map that where we are. So we successfully launched our services into 21 cities, and then we see that we are the #1 in terms of a geographical coverage. And the reason is that we want to deliver our service as many customers as possible, where we can acquire and also retain their top quality merchant and rider fleet. So that's why we has focused on their expansion to serve more customer in Vietnam. Next, please. So you may know BAEMIN, the food delivery service as service, but if you look at the application, we have another service. For example, we have a BAEMIN Digital, which is typical retail service. So for example, if you want to buy a Coke, but you don't want to go out, you can open up the BAEMIN, and then you can easily order the Coke and also some snacks, so that and then you place the order, and then our rider will deliver it. So also we provide more like a retail service by partnering with more than 4,000 merchant partners. And also we have our own kitchen. So maybe in the early June, you may see new menu made by the BAEMIN kitchen. The reason that we set up the BAEMIN kitchen is that we want to deliver high quality food with a more reasonable price. And next one is the BAEMIN Studio. We make our own goods like a bag and also t-shirt and something. And then this is purely for marketing purpose. So these are for new vertical, but you will have a new business going forward, especially from the second half. Moving on to the next one. So we are committed to our stakeholders, including rider partners and merchant partners, and also our communities. The reason is that to be a successful platform player, we cannot survive by ourselves. So we need to create more like an ecosystem covering rider and merchant and our customer and user, etc. So that's why we want to think about how we can make a success together. So in that regard, we offer very good service for our rider partners, such as insurance program and also some proper training and etc. And also we have a great program for the merchant, and also whenever we have a time and also we have a resource, we do our best to serve our community as well. And next slide. Yeah, so let me get back to the main topic. I want to share how the digital platform like BAEMIN helped our F&B partners so that they can survive and then recover after the COVID-19. Next one. So next slide is the key slide that I want to share. So when I had that question from Dr. Han, actually there are four areas that I have in mind. The first one is that the platform like a BAEMIN help our F&B merchant to optimize their operation. So to be specific, by partnering with the platform player, they can invest less into the fixed asset, like their property and also their kind of fixed equipment, etc. And also, we provide a very creative service like a pick, so that they can leverage our platform to generate more number of orders and also to acquire more customers. And also, we provide more like a crowd kitchen, so that the small medium business merchant can start their own kitchen in a lean way. Moving on to the second one, the platform business enable more effective marketing, especially for the SME merchant. For example, if you start your own restaurant in a very typical traditional way, you may have a limitation to acquire new customers. All your business will be depending on their traffic around your restaurant, right? But by partnering with the platform business, that you can easily reach out to the customer at your fingertips. And also, you can have a more collaboration with a partner. What I mean by partner is a payment and also credit card, etc. So that because if you look at our application, then you can get a huge discount from the payment partner and also credit card. And this collaboration with a payment and also credit card give more traffic to our SME merchant so that they can acquire new customers as well. And also lastly, they can acquire new customer living in the long distance, because basically we provide a delivery service. And also, we give very great consumer insight. For example, we developed a function like a merchant review, and then when the customer enjoy the food, they leave the comments into their application. And then by getting our instant feedback from the customer, the restaurant owner can understand what will be the area to improve, and also they can think what is the area that need to have some strengths. That kind of instant feedback is quite crucial for them, so that they can have more capability to survive. And not only that, by joining the platform business, actually they can have a better insight on the more like a trendy menu. For example, for the same bubble tea and for the same coffee, you can see different menu from your computers. And then platform business will be a great platform so that you can understand the overall trend of a specific menu. And lastly, the platform can help them to develop their capability. So running a restaurant is not easy. It's a very challenging job. And that without capability, the restaurant owner can make a more sustainable business. So in that regard, we set up the BAEMIN Academy so that we can provide more like a cutting edge experience and knowledge to our merchant partners. For example, as a merchant, the restaurant owner, you don't know how to do a more like an Instagram marketing or Facebook marketing. And then BAEMIN provide more like a cutting edge knowledge and the experience and the insight to our merchant in an online basis. So these four are the typical example that how the platform means help the F&B merchant. And then let me go through more specific. Next slide, please. Yeah, starting from operational optimization. Next, please. Yeah, let me quickly go through. So 2 weeks ago, I had a more like a market visit. And then if you look at the left side, so this merchant is one of our top merchant. So this merchant restaurant owner is quite entrepreneurial. And then, yeah, he's quite, he knows how to use the BAEMIN. So without investing into the huge amount of money into the rental fee, but by solely focusing on the BAEMIN, then he can maximize his ROI on his restaurant operation. And what only care is the quality, the food quality. So that's a good example of a lean investment. And moving on to the next slide. The pickup service as well. So we launched our pickup service so that if you are hungry, you don't need to wait until the rider comes. Instead, you click the pickup and then place the order, and then you pick it up. And then by doing so, the restaurant owner can acquire more customers. And next slide. And the cloud kitchen. So if you want to start your own kitchen and then you have a great recipe, you don't need to invest into the more like a rental fee or whatever thing, but instead you can use our cloud kitchen and then you can pay only the monthly small rental fee. And by partnering with the expert from the BAEMIN kitchen, that you can get a better insight and also help. And also you can enjoy, you don't need to invest into all this equipment. So every equipment is quite for free, and that will be included into the rental fee. And then in that regard, you can start your own business without huge capital investment. Now, next one, please. And the marketing effectiveness, next one. So we provide a lot of coupon, and then by joining their BAEMIN platform, the restaurant owner can enjoy the big discount. Not only the BAEMIN, but also the platform, another payment platform, subsidize a lot of coupon. So you can acquire more customer and then more order. Out of partner's pocket. And moving on to the next one. And also we have many collaboration with the credit card and also payment platform or something. And then this coupon and then subsidy will be applicable all the restaurant. And by doing so, then you can acquire like a new customer from the, for example, Second Bank credit card user and also the Momo user. And that will be one of the beauty of the platforms. Moving on to the next one. And also you can get an order from the long distance. So we, in general, we provide the average distance, delivery distance is 2 to 3 kilometers, which means that technically you can acquire an order from the long distance as well. Yeah, next one. And also we provide more like a BAEMIN zone so that you can have more visibility from their kind of a typical customer. And then we create more like a special BAEMIN zone so that you can acquire, the restaurant owner acquire more traffic on the street. Yeah, next one. And the customer insight, yeah, please. And also like that way that you can get a more instant feedback from your customer and then you can find where to improve, how to improve. Next, please. And also that you can get a very trendy kind of a menu. Yeah, not all the food is same, and then depending on the merchant and also ingredient, you can see different kind of trendy menu. Next, please. And last one is that we set up our own BAEMIN Academy. Yeah, next one, please. Yeah, so this is the kind of first launching of BAEMIN Academy. And then you can see different kind of contents lecture. And then we are developing more contents, which is quite trendy and also needs basis from the customer, the merchant partner, so that they can download all the cutting edge knowledge and experience from their expert in the market. So this will be a truly learning platform for our restaurant owner, so that they can build up their capability. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I wanted to share. To sum up, in the middle of pandemic, when we develop our strategy, we always think of how we can help our riders and also merchant partner, so that they can build up more capability and also they can expand their network so that they can have a better capability to survive in the pandemic. So in that regard, the 4 stories that I just shared came from our kind of strategy on how to collaborate with our merchant partner, restaurant partner, so that we can win together. Yeah, thanks for your listening. And then I want to, happy to answer for any Q&A from the audience.
Many thanks to Mr. Song. We are going to address the question probably during the discussion session. So we will just try to move on to the next presentation first. Okay, so thank you very much for the mind-blowing, the ideas that BAEMIN tried to revolutionize the nature of F&B service. It was very interesting, right? Regarding the next presentation, is there any of you fan of the board game? I remember when I was a kid, I used to play Monopoly with my sisters overnight, probably giving me a lesson, valuable lesson on why we should invest in the right real estate project. But I haven't done that yet. But did you also know that there is a Monopoly Saigon and Hanoi version? Maztermind is the company that made Monopoly closer to our emotion and life. Please welcome Mr. Toan, the founder of Maztermind.
Hello, everyone. My name is Toan. I'm a founder of Maztermind. Today, I would like to present about the potential of e-commerce cross-border for SME abstract. Please move to the next slide, please. About Maztermind, can you move to the next slide, please? Yeah. First off, let me introduce a bit about Maztermind. I found Maztermind since 4 years ago, but have been about 15 years experience is working with the e-commerce cross-border. At the beginning, I started selling products in Amazon in the last 13 years. So I found there's a very big market for international business, especially for retail market. Yeah, but as I remember, in 2010, when I sell another products in Amazon, I got the number of orders per day is pretty big, about like a few thousand orders per day. In the last 13 years, and we sold to more than 40 countries in 2010. So I found, wow, this business is very potential if we can invest into the products, because I believe the products is a key for going in the global market. So so I decided to start everything again, from building the products, building the factories, building the design team, and I mean like a full stack business. Then until today, we have several brands, and one of the brands that we proud most is Maztermind, because like Maztermind is like we design the products and then we manufacturing it, and then we also do the distribution and online retail to end users. So we have to that's a lot of work, because like in Vietnam it's not easy to sourcing some materials in Vietnam, and also like R&D in Vietnam is a kind of very new in Vietnam, but the potential for the market is really big. So actually, Maztermind is not only producing the board game, but actually what we aiming to is for the board games for a lifestyle, for the home decor market, and for the gifting market, because gifting and home decor markets is one of the very biggest market in the world, with the market cap is, with the market size is about more than $600 billion. So for me, like in order to build a product, to do R&D product, if there is no benchmark for the market, then it's really potential. But the thing is only like how good you are to bring the products to the world. Okay, so today, can you move back to the slide about our design philosophy? So before we creating a brand, so we have a design philosophy for our product. First off, like we would like to create the harmony for the product. The harmony here means like the balance between the material, the harmony of the material. We use wood, we use leather, we use resin, we use concrete, and in the future we're gonna use ceramic, pottery, and many new kind of material like recycled plastic, for example. And then we in our design philosophy, we try the best to aiming for wow. That means like in every single product, we try to build the wow factors so that audience, whenever at the first time they see our products, they will be very excited. Okay, and now I would like to introduce more about like why the e-commerce cross-border is very potential nowadays. Okay, can you move to the slide after COVID? Okay, so after COVID, so even before COVID and after COVID, but now I'm talking. So after COVID, I mean like there are a huge number of the new audience, the new consumer they tap into the e-commerce. Like before, like my parents, they don't know how to buy the products online. But now, after COVID, they are a professional. They can buy the products online from Shopee, from Amazon. Very professional. It's even better than me. So after COVID, so the e-commerce growth is about 17%, and then more than 400 billion spending. And then with the growth of mobile commerce, nowadays it's becoming like the buying behaviors from the audience is changing. It's changing very rapidly. So I believe like so with COVID, there is a big growth for our consumer online e-commerce more than ever before. So it's like a moment. It's a very great momentum that we can every single business we have to think, and we have to switching from the traditional business to the e-commerce, and that's kind of thing like everyone have to aware of. But what I emphasize here is the potential of e-commerce cross-border, not only in the domestic sector, but it's in the worldwide sector. So if we talk about cross-border, there are two things very important. Not only about the demand, but the growth of social media. The social media is an amazing thing. It's a kind of like one of the most trigger that help the brands, have a very small brand from local to go international, because like maybe in the last 10 years, we don't use Facebook, we don't use Instagram, we don't use Pinterest, with maybe like even YouTube. But nowadays, like with the social media, they shorten the distance. You can have a product and then you can target to anyone in the world, any countries in the world. If you, and then plus the data, but with the AI and data mining that can help us, that can help the seller target to the right audience, even they are from anywhere in the world, and they target to the audience anywhere else in the world too. So with the payment platform payment gateway nowadays, like people then can pay via mobile, they can pay via website much easier than before. And plus the logistic one, like before when you ship the products from local to international, it's a little bit difficult, but nowadays there are many platforms that can help you to ship the products from one place to anywhere in the world. Plus, there are many selling platforms like Amazon, Alibaba, Etsy. They can help you to distribute the products to the end user. They can stock your warehouse. They can stock the product at their warehouse, and then it help you to distribute to the end user easier than before. So please move to the next slide. So, as you can see, some figures that talk about the potential of the e-commerce that among some countries like China, US, Europe, and rest of the world is still very, very potential. So for me, it's more about like when you're doing a business, if there's no benchmark for the market, so it's very, very important to do, because the rest is about your capacity, and then how you execute it. This is the most important, because for me, if we as an SME, the first thing that we do when we're creating a business is we have to think about the market, right? The market, the customer, and where we sell it to. But if your customer can be anywhere in the world, so I mean, like it's a very potential if you can invest into the business and the products, because like if the market is too small, is that smart? Is that relevant to invest in too much into the products while the market is too small to do that, right? So if you see as a figure that the e-commerce, the global increase in e-commerce from China and the US and the rest of the world, you're gonna see like there's a huge market there. So please move on to next slide, please. Yeah. So this is about the sale of major consumer goods in e-commerce business before during the pandemic. As you can see, like Alibaba, Amazon, JD, and others selling platform is still very huge. It's still very huge. There are two kinds of doing e-commerce. First, you can build your own website, and then you can attract the audience to your website and make a transaction in your website. And on the other hand, you can sell the product via a platform like Amazon or Alibaba or Etsy or Shopify or whatever, and then that can help you to maximize the sales pretty much, and also they can help you in the logistics sector and payment section as well. Okay, please move to the next slide, please. So this is about more about the opportunity beyond your doorstep. Like US, this is the largest economy, and China is the largest population, and Japan is about like the fastest growth in e-commerce. Australia, India. I mean, like there are many huge potential market for e-commerce cross-border. So the thing is like we need to select the market fit for our products, to launch the products to which countries that you think they're more about fitting in your business and products. Please move to the next slide, please. Yeah, the evolution and impact of social media, I believe like the social media impact to the SME and business is more than ever before. Like the terms, like when we're talking about the social media, we can talk about two things. First is about the pet ads. Second is about the influencers. Like before, when doing any business, like with the traditional business, whenever you enter to the new countries, we cannot do the marketing easily. Like the traditional one is we usually do like billboard, newspaper, magazine. That's it, and then which is very costly and it's only suitable for a very huge business. Yeah, but with the social media, they can help you to reach out to the market you want, to the target audience you want, and with your budget, you can start launching into Korea or Singapore with a very low budget, like a few $1,000s. You can do marketing that, and I mean like so with the evolution of social media, that can help to shorten the distance between people and people, and then business and business. Then there's not so much different from selling the product from Vietnam to the US and the domestic in the US nowadays. Because like if you ship if you have social media, you can reach out into the US people very easily if you with social media. But without social media, in order to reach out the US customer, is very difficult and very costly. So so if you look at the growth of social media nowadays, and I think like the growth is keep increasing, and maybe in the future there is more platform that come in that can, then the growth is keep increasing, and then the potential for social media and e-commerce cross-border is keep increasing. I mean, like I don't know where it end up, but I mean like it's still keep increasing if you look at the growth from 2015 to 2021. Okay, please move to the next slide, please. So this is the cross-border strategy that we can do. Like first, this is the diversification of the risk, and then we can reach to the new target audience, and then the very large market. Yeah. And the audience here is like nowadays with e-commerce cross-border, the audience we can understand them pretty well, much more than before with the AI and that, and we have a data of the customer, and we know what they really want, what is the personas, and they then so that we can not only sell the product to them, but we can also analyze them, and then we can create a product which is more suitable for them. Okay, so please move to the next slide, please. Okay, so why and as an SME, so how and why we have to expand the business to international? First, because like in Vietnam, like the market is quite big, but if you do a product, if you are the person who create a product, you always want the products can have a mass, you can maximize the capacity and then potential of the product when you created it first, and then so to talk about why we're doing that. First, they lower your competition. It's a growing market. When I create a Maztermind, I am international at the beginning, so I don't care much about the local competitors, because like in Vietnam, the market for me is growing, but it's not as big as I want yet. So so first, you don't have to compete directly with the local competitor, but you aiming for a bigger scale. Second is like the profit margin, improve the margin, because selling in international, the retail price is always much better than selling in the local market. And then we can not only for selling as a retail, but you can get wholesale if you want to, because and then we can jump into a unique opportunity, like sometimes like what I'm doing, like handcrafted board games, right? But in Vietnam, the consumer, they at the beginning, they still not really 100% appreciate the art, the craftsmanship. But why in other countries, like in the US or in the UK, the people there, they really appreciate the handcrafted business. So of course, then if they appreciate more, then I can sell them at a better price and higher margin. And then how to it's more about how to penetrate into the new market through e-commerce cross-border. So at the beginning, I think that the most important is that we have to prepare the mindset. So if we want to do cross-border, so we must have a growth mindset. I mean, the international mindset, not local mindset. The second is like we have to prepare our products, because the product is a key. If we sell the product that it's not suitable for international markets, so what a point? So at the beginning, the product we have to do is have to fit for the global market. So and then with the payment methods, like we have PayPal, Stripe, Shopify payment, Payoneer. There are many tools for doing that. So we need to understand the payment methods as well. And then we have to create the social media for our own business, because the social media is kind of one of the biggest tools to for branding. And then about operation, we have to understand more about customer insight, customer service, and then shipping, and then producing, and then regulation, import, tax, tariff, and then many other knowledge as well. And yeah, and the most important is like the foreign market research, because some products, they might fit to that market, and some product they might not fit and in the other markets. So the market research is very important. Like our products, like Maztermind, we will launch into Singapore market and the US market this year, especially Singapore markets. I choose Singapore markets because first, it's close to Vietnam. Second, the culture is not really different. Third one is I believe like Singapore is a hub of Asian. So if I sell the product well in Singapore, so I can get many benefits from around the areas. Why the US market is very big, but my business size, I want to save it in the next year, because like in the US they're so big, I have to focus into some cities, and then the culture there is a little bit different from our current products. So so I save in the US market for the next year. Why this year I focus into Singapore market launching. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, so this is like kind of the tips that and opportunities for e-commerce cross-border. Like we have to understand customers. This is it's like a market research, right? So we customers in any markets is different. So the behavior of them is also different. So we need to understand the behavior of them, and then even the GDP, even the demographics, whatever. And then again, I keep emphasizing the products. So the products is like a king. So if we don't have the great products, then we have to pay a lot for marketing. If we have the great products, we can create a great content. And if we have a great content, then we can create the great marketing. With great marketing, we can save a lot of costs. So the product is a key to save marketing costs. And then, of course, because like we sell the products from one place to the other place. So the customer service is very important, like a return policy, like a delivery terms, like payment terms, yeah, refund term. So it's very, very important for the SME when they do e-commerce cross-border. But then I mean, like the potential is very, very big as well. So please move to the next slide, please. Yeah. So thank you for listening my presentation. So I would love to answer all of the questions later on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Toan, for the insight and huge inspiration for young audiences. Before we move to the next presenter, we would like to have some fun with Kahoot quiz. To start the game, please log on to the website kahoot.it, enter the code number that you see on the screen. Then you put your name, of course, and three with the highest scores will receive a small prize. So please try your best to win the game. For the Kahoot game, Ms. Tien from our SBN event team, also known as Kahoot Quiz Expert, will join us. I will hand it over to Ms. Tien now. Over to you, Tien.
Okay. Thanks, Jinwoo. Hi, everyone. Hope you got a lot of great insights from our first two presenters. So right now we're gonna take a little break with the Kahoot quiz. So today we bring you a 8-question quiz surrounding today's event topic. So I'll give you 30 more seconds to log into Kahoot. So you can either access the site with your mobile phone or your PC. It's kahoot.it and join our game with the pin 5817783. In the meantime, if you have any question for our two presenters, you can leave it in the Q&A chat box, and our moderator will address the question at our panel discussion after the event. Oh, did I mention to tell you that there's gonna be a gift, wonderful gift from RMIT for the 3 winners of the quiz. So we will be delivering the gift to your door. So feel free to join us in the game. I'll give 10 more seconds for people to join. Are you guys ready? Let's go. Okay, 8 questions. First one. This country has the highest number of smartphone users in Southeast Asia. So what will be the answer? Vietnam, Singapore, Malaysia, or Indonesia? Okay, so our correct answer is Indonesia. So Vietnam comes in second with only 61 million users, while Indonesia has 160 million. Okay. Oh, we have our first batch of leaderboard. Okay, so this is you have 1 minute to answer this question. So rank the country with the highest e-commerce sales over the world. Tougher question, but you have 1 minute. UK, Canada, South Korea, or China? From 1 to 4. Okay, only a few more seconds. And what is the right answer? Okay, so I think a couple of you got that right. So actually in 2021, China has $84.5 billion sales in one day. That's a single day, November 11. Okay, let's see. Ooh. Next one. This company started their business by selling books online. Easy question, guys. All right. So Amazon started in 1994 selling books. Okay, we have a new leader. Next one. What was the original name of Amazon? Tricky, huh? All right. Okay, so our leader is still the same. Next question. This company was developed initially as a part of PhD study from the founder, Tesla, eBay, Google, or Airbnb. Nice. The correct answer is Google. So actually, the two founders went to do their PhD in Stanford University, California, and this was in their project. Oh, okay. Only 3 more questions, guys. In 2026, the average spending per capita in Vietnam is expected to be 250, 980, 671, or 1263. How much are you spending shopping online? Okay, so the statistic that we have last year was only 238, but in 2026 it's expected to be 671. Okay, Lynn, you're back. Rank Vietnam most visited e-commerce and shopping website in April 2022. Is this Shopee, Tiki, Lazada, or Chợ Tốt? Another minute for this question, so you guys better think about it carefully. All right, it's time for the result. Okay. So Shopee, our leader, is actually a Singaporean tech company, and they just launched in Vietnam in 2016, and right now they are the top site for e-commerce in Vietnam. Okay. Last question. So this is all for nothing. Which electronic products is the top seller at Amazon at the moment? Okay, and the result is Amazon Fire TV Stick with Alexa voice remote. And Apple AirTag came in very close in second place. Okay, let's see the 3 winners for today's game. Ling at the 3rd place, Lynn's 2nd place, and our winner is Hiếu. Congratulations to the 3 winners. So please leave your the detail to get your prize will be in the chat box. Thank you for joining us today. And back to you, Jinwoo.
Thank you, Tien, and congratulations to the top 3 winners. As Tien mentioned, please leave your full name, or you can also email us. On the chat box, you can see the email address. So if you drop your names and addresses, we will send you the gift. And let's meet our next presenter, Ms. Xuan, co-founder of Fonos and also BAEMIN 362. As I'm also a person under time pressure, it's not easy to find time to read a book. And reading a book can be tiring and draining you even more after a long day of work. So sometimes I also turn on a book reading app and listen to the narrations and summary of the trendy books that help me to learn and build new ideas into my teaching and research as well. Fono is designed for this reason, and Ms. Xuan today will tell us how we can satisfy customers during this disruptive environment. Please warmly welcome Ms. Xuan for the presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Jinwoo. Hi, everyone. It's great to have a chance to be here today. My name is Xuan, and I'm a co-founder of Fonos. Some of you may know the app, and for those who don't, can you go to the next slide, please? So Fonos is the audio super app for Vietnamese. We have all copyrighted content from audiobooks, meditation, sleep story, book summary, and much more. Lots of content that you can listen to on the go when you are busy waiting for someone, or when you on the way to RMIT, or during your lunch break, wherever you can listen to some of the best books and other great contents. So today I want to talk to you about the topics of how to satisfy future customers, and that will be based on my own experience with Fonos and my previous experience also running other businesses. So next slide, please. What do we mean when we say future customers? Why are they different from the past customers? And due to digitization, how it impacts business? What satisfied customer in the past and now is very different. So the way that business dealt with customer in the past is not true anymore. Next slide, please. So the first thing that is changing and has changed and will continue to go that way is the way that businesses communicate with their customers. So in the past, if you were a bookstore owner, for example, the amount of real feedback that you had was quite limited. When someone walked into your store and they didn't buy anything, and then they walk out, you didn't have that much of open communication channel for them to give you a feedback. And maybe some of the owner can come and ask the customers, but that is very rare and it doesn't really happen often. On the other hand, when you look at Fonos, there are so many ways in which our customers can tell us exactly what they like and what they don't like. So they can leave the reviews on the iOS App Store, on the Play Store. They can send us message. They can post on their Facebook and tag us. They can leave the comments on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel. So many different ways in which people now are able to give direct feedback to my business. So what does that mean? That means that you need to respond to it. You need to learn from it, and you need to know how to deal with it. If people have that old attitude of we just do our things and we can ignore most of what people said, so I don't think it works anymore. Customer, they're gonna tell us what they like and what they don't like. And nowadays, like everyone else can see it. If you walk into a traditional bookstore, you don't know what other people are thinking about that store, what they like, what they don't. But with an app, right before you download it, you can see a bad ratings. You know exactly how everyone is feeling. So as a business, having that open communication channel between your customers and your company is vital already. And I believe that this trend will only be accelerated. Next slide, please. The second change is about the amount of data that we now have. So with technology, even customers don't tell us. We can get much more insights about them. This is completely new, and before digitization, we didn't have this insights into customers' behavior. So for example, when people sell a physical book in the bookstore, they don't know if, like, what do people do after they go home? Do they open a book? How many times do they read it? Or do they throw it away? Who knows? But with digital, you can see much, much more. Like after they buy it, do they really listen to it? Do they listen to half of it or like a whole thing? So many different ways we are able to see how customers actually interact with the products thanks to technology and data. All of this gives you a new level of insight into customers' behavior that previously was impossible to get. Next slide, please. And the next one is the quality of competition. Another change in customers' behavior is that almost no brand now is really competing with local standards only. So for Fonos user, our user are not using some Vietnamese apps, right? So like every one of you from RMIT used to use like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and so on. So people, they are using the best and the high quality app from around the world. And that's the standard that we have to be at. We can be like, oh, we are best in Vietnam. Like this thing is not just apply for the app like ours, but it's also apply for other kind of business. So if you build any kind of product from, it's a phone or fashion or furniture, or, like my previous business, like Beamin 362. So in today's global world, you are competing against international players. And the customer will compare you with the same rank of experience. They don't define based on geography. They define based on their experience with the same rank. So that's the new reality. When you are launching a business at the moment, you should have known. Like it's not the case like 20 years ago. Vietnam didn't have that much imported products or imported brands or any international F&B chains like now. And furthermore, it's also easier for Vietnamese nowadays to travel the world. So they can be able to experience a global service, and then they will raise their standard higher. So let's say if you have a clothing brand and you choose your product like a mass product, so your customer can easily compare you with H&M and Zara. And if you sell more expensive, they will compare you with luxury international brands. So because of that price point, these are the options that the customer will go to. And that's why they will compare you to those. Next slide, please. And the fourth point is speed. One thing that changed with technology is the speed at which businesses are now able to execute. So not just with startup, but also like F&B, I believe. So whether it's startup like ours, so we have an app, and within a day, if we have to, we can create a new update and deploy it. And certainly hundreds of thousands of users have a new version of the app with a new feature online. So everything has gotten faster. And if you do business at the speed of the people to do like 20, 30 years ago, you're gonna fail completely behind. Next slide, please. So with these 4 effects of digitization, what does it mean for us as businesses? What does it mean for making customers happy? How can we do it in this kind of new environment? And what matters? Next slide, please. The first one is really not that crazy. It's simple. Just getting your mindset ready and to be focused on the customer experience. It sounds very basic, but for me, it's harder than I thought it was. So the challenge here that I have is how to manage my own ego, because it's not about listening to your customer when they have something nice to say, but also when they have something not nice to say. And then it comes the second challenge is to learn what to ignore. So we have to listen to the problems, but take the customer recommendation for solutions with a lot of skepticism, because customer, they know very well what the pain they are experiencing, but they do not know your company. They don't know your resources. They don't know your goals. So they don't know it better than you. So at the end of the day, you have to figure it out to solve this problem. Next slide, please. Secondly, customer service is no longer a minor department. It's now a key part of a business, just as important as sales. It's the face of a company in front of the customers, and it needs to have that kind of priority because the impact is also huge. The customer will judge you on the customer service, like how fast you're responding, how good you are responding, and all of these things used to maybe a side note, and now they are a key function of any good business that I see. For us, it's for Fonos, like it's very important that our customer can reach out to our customer support easily. So do we really want to use Facebook Messenger as a main communication tool? Not really. But we do it at the end of the day because our customer wants to message us on Facebook Messenger. So fine, we're there. Not because it's convenient for us, but it's convenient for them. And by the way, as a business, it's also, I think, very important that this communication continue further within your company, from the customer service team to the marketing team, to the leadership team, and to the product team. It should not stay between customer and customer service. But then what happened with that information after that is very important. Next slide, please. Data. Now we certainly have a huge amount of data. What do you do with it and how do you use it? In my experience, data helps me to answer questions when I have a specific questions. It's not helping me figure out the strategy. So be careful about focusing on data too much at the beginning, because data probably not going to be too valuable in my experience in the early stage, because first, you don't have that many users. And secondly, it's quite obvious about the problem. Like for Fonos on the first year, we knew our problem very well. We knew that we didn't have enough books in our library. So we didn't need data to know it. But with time, data becomes more useful. So, and another way, one way to make the most out of data, I think, is 90% of the work is asking the right question. So with my experience, like people spend a couple of months creating a whole dashboard and a bunch of data. But at the end of the day, they end up being more confused than they were before. So it's a real skill to learn what questions to ask and how to get the answer. And don't spend just months building a dashboard and then confusing yourself. Next slide, please. So the last thing, that understand who your customer will compare you to. So when you are compared to international players, what can you do? The short answer is there's not much that you can do, because there's really no shortcut here. You're gonna have to raise your standard, and you're gonna have to be better over time. So Fonos, for example, you know, when the cables is broken in Vietnam, you know, by the way, in the last 5 years, Vietnam's submarine internet cables have been damaged like over 10 times annually. And every time it takes them weeks to fix it. And our customers start to message us like, hey, why your app is lagging? So for us, we can say like right now the undersea internet cable is damaged and we try to work on it. But the customer then told us like, yeah, but YouTube and Facebook are fine. And by the way, these are the two biggest companies in the world. But at the end of the day, the customer don't care. None of our users care if YouTube or Spotify has more budget than Fonos to build a server or a software. It's none of the problem. So you as a business, you're gonna have to keep working, raise your standard, and being better. So to summarize, at the end of the day, all the things I share with you, that sounds like a lot and difficult, and it is difficult, but I don't want you to feel this way. The good news is that if you genuinely care and you have a goal about building a great product that the customers love, all of these things will come quite naturally. You will naturally want to come and talk to your customer. You will naturally want to create an open line of communications, and you want to have a good customer service team. You will naturally want to look at the data because you want to know more about them. It's not some kind of big secret of how to achieve it. And in my opinion, we are now actually in a great time that I see that it's a lot of opportunity right now in Vietnam for a business owner. If you can go out there and pick up like almost any area, and you genuinely incorporate these things that I just shared with you, you can be able to outcompete the competition, because everyone is struggling with this. People are not doing this. It sounds simple, but it's not simple. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for the very meaningful message for our audiences. Actually, you know, you've been talking about this customer satisfaction, so I quickly checked the customer rating on the iPhone App Store, and actually the rating from the customer was pretty high. So I guess you've been very successful to satisfy your customer over the last few years. And now this year's forum has come to the panel discussion. For the panel discussion, Ms. Natalie, the Senior Director at Elsa Corp, is joining to address questions from the audiences, along with the other panel who already gave us the presentation. Also, Ms. Nguyen, Lecturer of Entrepreneurship at RMIT Vietnam, is joining us as a moderator of the discussion. If there are any questions, if you have any question to ask to any specific panels or general question, feel free to put it in our Q&A box. There are still some questions. We already got it, around 10 questions, but please leave more questions in the comment box, and then we will try to address it for the next few minutes. And then now I will hand it over to Ms. Tu as a moderator for the discussion.
Thanks, Jinwoo. I see. Thanks everyone also for very insightful presentations. And I also see here in the list of questions, there's already a number of questions here. And I guess I will group them into maybe a few different themes. And maybe to give also, first of all, to give a chance for Mr. Miss Natalie to speak also. So I would address the first questions on the group Actually, it's for Mr. Toan Nguyen. It's about AI, but maybe I combine that, and then you two can discuss also about AI in here, right? So there's one question from the attendee for Mr. Toan Nguyen is, how do you see your brand Maztermind can utilize or create values through the power of AI? And then also maybe one more question for me for Mrs. Natalie is that could you also maybe advise young startup who have interested in AI development about the development infrastructure in Vietnam and how could they access to that? Because I think Elsa is pretty much involved with AI as well, right? So that's just two questions, but one for Mr. Toan and one for Natalie, and maybe the two you can discuss around that. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Toan, do you want to go first?
I think like in terms of AI, I think it's more suitable for
Elsa, right? Yeah.
Because they apply a lot of AI. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll take the question. So thank you for the question. I think just so that I recall my memory correctly, the first one is about how startups can apply AI, right?
Yes. Yeah. And access to the infrastructure, right? Because I mean, for young startup, perhaps that is quite big. I was talking with my students, and sometimes they have very much interest in AI, but with the infrastructure in Vietnam, we tend maybe lacking knowledge in that. What could be the access for young startup to start with if they have such an interest? Yeah, maybe
right.
Miss Xuan also have that involved, right? Yeah, but
yeah. So I would say that AI is a really big term, and you can have an AI first company, right, where AI is the foundation of your business and your product, or you can use AI, as a part of your marketing of a lot of the processes that you implement. So I think I'll share the perspective from Elsa as an AI first business, because our product is very much, focused on AI, and that's our competitive advantage, right? Yeah. How we started out building the product from the beginning. So I mean, I think, the key thing about how to use AI in this case is the idea for the product very much started from the use of AI. Kind of the story behind Elsa is Vu, our founder, actually studied in Vietnam her whole life. And I can relate to the story as well, and that's kind of the reason why I joined Elsa, because I realized this huge pain, right, that students go through where they do English classes and they study for 12 years, sometimes even more, and they still don't feel confident enough to speak. And when they speak, especially, with foreigners, people don't understand them. And the problem stems from the fact that, human teachers or native teachers are hard to come by. It can be very expensive to find native teachers, right? So we set out to build this product because AI at the time was getting strong enough, especially for speech recognition, to be able to complement the teachers and help provide all of this feedback on people speaking. So I think, when I talk about Elsa, it's a very specific use case where we see that AI could actually serve a gap in the education market or in the sector where humans cannot, do as well. It's not as scalable to use human capital. And so in this case, AI stepped in and basically we built this engine, and it took a really long time, right? I think at first if there are startups out there who are, looking into exploring this, I think there's a lot of basic APIs that you can use. So how we did it at the beginning is we actually used the Google API as a foundation, right? And Google API is definitely not great for our use case, but it's good for us to build an MVP. And then with the MVP, we managed to bring on, our CTO, we managed to bring on advisors, managed to bring on the first wave of customers. Obviously, the product at that stage is not great, right? So not a lot of people are very happy. It's the feedback is very basic. It's not built for education. And so over time, once we receive enough data, once we have a strong enough team in-house, then we started building our proprietary AI. And it's a long journey, right? From the time that the company started in 2015, we basically, I would say that it took about 2 to 3 years for us to have the product or the same engine that we use today. So it was, 2-3 years of work, and also a lot of data that we collected from bringing in customers. So I would say, with AI, it's always a question of data, right? And to get, it's always a chicken and egg thing, right? How do you get data if you don't have customers? And yeah, how do you have customers if you don't already have an engine that attracts customers? So it's, I would say that you just start from what you can. There are resources out there. Actually, now Elsa also licenses our API, right, to other startups, because we believe in the ecosystem and people building on top of each other. So I think, it's definitely a good thing to start without a perfect product at the beginning. So yeah, that's I think the foundation for the product. I think for the infrastructure in Vietnam, I do have friends in the space, and I do think that the data is definitely an issue, right? I mean, I think when you choose your field, or when you think about an AI first product, for example, think about the nature of the data and whether you can collect it, right? So there are some businesses, for example, like in healthcare, for example, or finance, where the data can be very tricky to collect. And that's probably that's something that you have to factor in when you're building out your plan or thinking about your plan, right? Whereas some other industries, I mean, I think education, for example, I think it's easier if you start with a B2C product or angle, probably, because then it's easier for you to get data. Whereas if you go B2B and try to collect this large data set, it's very difficult at the beginning. I mean, there are infrastructure, like there are organizations out there now in Vietnam that's helping with advancing the use of AI in business. For example, Vingroup does have an AI group. I know that Vu, who's our founder, together with Thug at OmniLabs, they are building an AI foundation group to just advance the use of AI as well. This is brand new. So yeah, I think maybe beyond the outlook for these things, I think there would be a lot more coming in the future.
Yeah. You want to add something also, Toan, or I can move on with the next questions?
Please move on, because I think there's not so much for me to talk about AI.
Can I add some question? Because it seems like Natalie has some experience in Vietnam about this possibility, opportunity in AI. But based on your experience, do you see any untapped area in Vietnam that we can utilize more AI, that we can develop more future ventures, so then maybe it can be a bit of good tips for the audiences? Do you have any?
Yeah, I mean, I see some new products coming up. I mean, obviously in healthcare, there's nothing, right? In retail, there's Palexi, a friend of mine running the company, and that's basically using the power of data to optimize the in-store experience. I think even in finance, with consumer finance, for example, trying to understand user behavior, trying to understand credit worthiness, I think there's a lot that we can do there. In terms of, actually, I think there's a lot of areas that we can tap into, a lot of opportunities. It just depends. I think it depends on the entrepreneur, right? Where your passion is, where you think your competitive advantage is, and kind of look into that area. And then obviously the advice is go somewhere where that you can start collecting data, even a small amount first, right? And try to think small before you think big.
Yeah. Thank you. Shall I move on? So I see also in your answer, I think when we talk about digitalization, apparently data and ecosystem are quite key things in there, right? And maybe we have a very interesting group of speakers, because you also across, Elsa is very much like strongly technology-driven AI, but also, for example, if we talk about BAEMIN, it's very interesting model as well, because this is actually reflecting like the ecosystem where we say, okay, you on one hand you need to utilize technology, right? But on the other hand, you also need to have to manage the physical flows with community or partners. So my questions for Mr. Song is that you have shared also a little bit in there, but I would say maybe we can elaborate it more in terms of like how do you really build a community, because I think that the communities will really add values to your value proposition. It's not only the technology, right? Because you can do optimization and all those kind of things, but how do you really engage those partners that they will stay with you and not switching to your competitors, for example? Because I think that is also a challenge that in the business, right? Because not only you in the market, there are many other competitors. So how you would then attach them to you, not only in terms of using technology, but also managing them.
Yeah, thanks for your question. So I think that that's very good and also interesting question. So before moving on to my question, also I want to highlight that also we BAEMIN use a lot of AI technology as well. Yeah, for example, one of our homework for me is kind of detecting the fraud, and then obviously we cannot detect the fraud on a manual basis. And then in that regard, we actively use AI technology. And also, for example, for the merchant review, if there is some like a bad word or something, actually our AI engine detected this language and then delete it. So right that way, and the AI technology is actively used by the food technology, food platform as well. And then back to your question. So for sure, our big task is creating the ecosystem. To create a sustainable ecosystem, we need to have a plan to have a more sustainable partnership across the rider and user and the merchant partners. And the key strategy to retain them is more like building up the program and initiatives that we can win together. For example, for the rider, we give a lot of training for them so that they can ensure their safety. And for example, during the lockdown period, we provide more like a special aid program for our riders who are suffering from their long lockdown. So like that way, we provide a lot of a program so that they can enjoy their BAEMIN ecosystem, so that they can have a more motivation to stay with BAEMIN. So it's not only about their kind of a delivery fee and commission fee, not the commercial one. But when I interact with our partners, rider and merchant, I feel that giving a sense that we are truly your partner is quite critical. Also, it will be same to the merchant partner as well. For sure, the easiest tactic to retain our merchant restaurant is decreasing our commission rate. But that is very kind of general and too much commercial. And on top of that, we always care about their growth and also their success. So for example, when our sales team approaches to our merchant, they always ask about their key concern and how BAEMIN can help them. So they kind of emotional thing, and also putting BAEMIN sales team in their shoes is quite critical, so that we can solve the problem all together between the restaurant owner and the platform partners. So I would say my answer is more like a mindset to build up more like a collaborative structure so that these two parties can win together. And then in that regard, if you look at our recent branding campaign, we initiate more like a thank you campaign. So if you look at the billboard, we put down a lot of witty and also interesting kind of a thank you letter to our partners. For example, some boards said that, thank you for saying our riders are handsome. And then this copy was written by our writer community manager. So right that way, we really express our sincere appreciation to all the partners so that they have a more clear reason to stick to the BAEMIN platform.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Maybe to move on also, because I pick up from what you said is also you need to build relationship with the communities, right? And build trust among there to stick them with. Maybe also another challenge, and also maybe for Xuan, because you make a quite interesting remark about customer service, for example, right? So the model of digitalizations, on one hand, you try to bring down the cost because with the technology, you can make it cheaper, right? But on the other hand, the cost to like build relationship, to really, you know, get involved with the customer service where the customer will be happy, because it's, I would say there's a lot of challenge maybe because when the customer give you feedback, I saw like Mr. Song show some feedback or Xuan, right? So the customer show you the feedback and you have to deal with that as well. So what would be the challenge in doing that? Because I mean, I also see like business who do digitalization, when they respond to feedback, it seems to be very automation, right? It may be from the machine. So if you really want to say, okay, what distinguishes us is human being and relationship, how do you balance between cost and I mean, because your model would go for cost advantage, and on the other hand, it's also cost you a lot to really build customer service or good relationship internally, right? So how are you going to deal with that? Or maybe also Elsa, I think in that sense, right?
Yeah, so for us, I think like we just passed our second year. So we are a very new startup and we have limited of resources. So for me, one of my key learning is to know our resources very well and to choose what to focus for each day, and don't try to do everything and don't try to you know, fulfill everything, make everyone happy. So at the end of the day, me and our team, like we care so much about CS, but there's also, we know very well about resources and we know exactly what we need to do at each stage. So, and the good thing is so many of it doesn't cost a lot of money, to be honest. Like I agree with Mr. Toan said, when you focus on building a good product, right? So a lot of things come naturally in terms of marketing or in terms of CS, for example. Like so many of our customer, you know, I experienced like love-hate relationship with this thing, you know, like and people used to say like customer like keep complaining, but on the other side I also experienced a lot of patient customers and very understandable with us. So at the beginning, even when we have only 6 books in our library, because we go for getting a copyrights. So I think at the end of the day, we need to choose what we have to focus on and our priority.
Any other response from the speaker?
Yeah, one the comment that I want to share is that, so what I learned from the market is that, so especially for the digital platform, especially for the CS, what mattered to the CS is kind of more about the showing the empathy and the sympathy. So one of the people of the CS and also consumer about complaint matter is trying to find the answer and trying to giving the answer to the customers. But before that, it is quite critical to show very sincere sympathy and empathy for the customer's pain. So that will be the first step. And after that, we can find a solution. So that, and then after suggesting solution, we should check that whether customers are quite happy with our solution or not. So it's not kind of mechanical kind of a Q&A. And but what matters is that, especially for the digital technology and the platform, we need to show our empathy and sympathy And also, yeah, it's quite critical to say that we are in the same shoes, and that your concern is our concern. So they kind of, yeah, emotional thing is as important as finding the solution. That's what I learned from our many kind of, yeah, CS comments from our customers.
Thank you. Maybe we now move a little bit to the entrepreneur side, which I mean you're also entrepreneur, but also the community of micro startup people. So I will address some questions from the audience. Some are quite similar, so I group them in together. And this is for Toan. A question from Phong who asked, like, how can board game survive digitalization nowadays? People would go to eSport or surf the web rather than playing board games. Some would say. So what is your opinion? Yeah.
Hey, first of all, one of my the core value of my business is the connect when I'm doing a board game business. So it's about the connectivity. So just talk about like how sometimes with the internet era. So everyone, they can play game online, but just talk about like how long have you you don't play board game at home, or you can like ask your friends come to your house and play board game. So we would like to bring that the connectivity values into the household, into the family, into friends. So that's why we create a new one of a kind board games. So it is like a reason, an excuse, so that the people can invite friends and then we can play together. There's a much big difference between because playing offline and online, right? Because like you cannot with the technology. I think that people that can play online very efficiency, but they cannot have the other value like sharing some other discussion and the feeling is much different. And then I would love to bring our products to the family so that the parents and the children can play board games, not only to help them understanding about the cultures, about it's like for me like board game is sometimes like it's an educate them very well in terms of culture, knowledge, and even intelligence. Like if you play chess when the children is very young, so they can help them about the logic, about the patience, and a lot of things. So that's kind of things. Offline board games, like the handcrafted board game, is very important.
Yeah.
So much different from.
Thank you. Yeah. So maybe just another questions answer, because you talk about digitalization that cross borders, right? And also this is for Xuan and Toan. Also, like from the audience, they were asking like, how would you then go compete with the international market? Like, how do you go beyond the Vietnam market with your business model?
Okay. Let me talk first. I think that at the beginning you have to understand the core of the products. So that's why I choose the handcrafted board games. So with the mass production board games, China is they dominate the whole market with the price around, let's say, less than $50. With the very luxury board game, very luxury. So one board game can cost you $5,000 or even more. So that players is that player dominant by like a UK or Italian designer, but the segment of $300, $200 with craftsmanship, there's no big player yet. But that segment is so huge. So I want to penetrate into that market. So in order to compete with them, first you have to understand the competitive advantage. So in Vietnam, we have a lot of advantage to do craftsmanship, right? Why China, they're famous, they're very, very, very good at doing something massive, but for craftsmanship, they are not. I think I can compete with them in terms of craftsmanship, but for Italian, British one, so they are about, we can compete with them about pricing. Like my pricing is about like only like 5%. It's 5% of the price. So so again, understanding the products is very important to compete with them. Yeah.
So for us, it's like at the beginning, we really choose to like focus on Vietnamese speakers. And already with our product, we have to, from day one, to constantly raise our standard to compete with international like brand. So we will continue to focus on Vietnamese speakers, not just in Vietnam, but also around the world. Then we have one competitive advantage here, which is we understand Vietnamese better than any of international players. So it's very interesting that at the beginning, we don't plan to do any kind of English audiobooks. We want to do like Vietnamese audiobooks. However, we keep having the requests from the customer to do English audiobooks. And I just like simply my common sense is, if you want English audiobooks, you can go for Audible, right? You can go for all the top one out there. You don't have to go for Fonos. But then the more requests I have from them, the more lesson I recognize that Vietnamese, you know, they care about like someone who also understand them. It's not easy for them in terms of like experience a new app or even experience the payment in Audible or in any kind of other international brand. So that's why it's make us like trying to game up our level up our standard and our products with international, but we still focus on Vietnamese speakers. And we recognize that there's still a lot of room for us to grow and to explore here.
Thank you. We still have one more questions from the audience for Mr. Toan, but I hope, would you please type in the Q&A box and answer the questions in there for Linh, because we need to close the sessions very soon. This is quite interesting questions actually. It's about like shipping costs and so on. And I think this is a challenge for startup who do cross-border business, right? But could you please do that on the chat box? Thanks. I would assume like I think like maybe we can even discuss more, but because the time doesn't allow, I think it's we have a very wide spectrum from like Mr. Toan with very craftsmanship and niche business into like Elsa is like AI technology, and then you have like the ecosystem like BAEMIN and also Fonos, right? And I think the lessons for startup would be like find your niche, find your strength, and also even if you go for like the big area like AI technologies or digitalizations, I think start lean in a way, because you will always find resource there like Mr. Toan and Elsa, and also you all have shared about using the digital technology around like social media and Google API and so on, right? So that there you can utilize to start as a startup. So thank you very much for your really good insight, and hopefully our students also learn a lot from there. And now hand over to you, Jinwoo.
Thank you very much for all the panels and also Ms. Tu for the meaningful discussion. There are probably some minor questions. We couldn't address them all, but somehow we tried to group them to answer. You can actually type now more, and then maybe still the panels can answer personally through the chat box. And now I would like to introduce Associate Professor Nguyen, the Head of Management Department, for the closing remarks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Jinwoo. And once again, thank you everyone for the wonderful session this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nguyen, and I'm the Head of Department of Management. And we have reached now to the end of the annual RMIT Entrepreneurship Forum. And I am very honored and delighted to deliver some concluding remarks on today's event. First of all, I would like to thank my team, including the program, HIM program, and the event teams, as well as other supporting teams for their enthusiastic and dedicated support, while they, I can see they put their heart and their soul to make this event happen, especially Dr. Jinwoo, the program manager, senior program manager, and Misty, our charming and very excited MC and also moderator for today. I am extremely pleased that this year the forum was well attended by various stakeholders, from students, staff, and industry practitioners and experts. That this time of the year is not very right timing for our students, where we can see almost 100 students and participants join us today. I'm truly satisfied that our participants were able to experience so many different examples of how to turn the great entrepreneurial ideas into value creating business through digitalization. You can definitely see, in our speakers today. And that could inspire them to scale up their own best business models and search for the applicable and commercially viable practices. Above all, being the true entrepreneurs is all about creating values through innovation and creativity. And digitalization and smart transformation are giving us easier access to customers, suppliers, and other stakeholders in the market to communicate our creative and innovative ideas more effectively and more efficiently. Yet, a true smart entrepreneur would also continuously learn from the local context to develop and adopt the best platform and application for better customer experience, as we have seen from the panel experience and startup journey today. I hope today's forum gives you a meaningful insights and assists to grow your inner capacity to be a smart entrepreneur and transform Vietnam economy into the digital future, like Dr. Jinwoo presented. And I also very passionate in this topic. I'm talking with Vinasa on this topic on the Vietnam Digital Transformation Program. On today, they started the Asia Summit on digital transformation as well. So that just everything just had in the same direction. In closing, I wish to thank once again the panels, the participants for your valuable input and sharing, especially HIM students who have the bright future ahead, I believe. And thanks for your active participation, and those who will listen to this section online, because we distribute wisely to our students after the event as well. So once again, thank you very much. Back to you, Dr. Jinwoo.
Thank you for the closing remark, Associate Professor Jung. Also, thank you for accompanying RMIT University during the past 2 hours. I hope the event has brought you useful information and inspiration to build up your own smart businesses in the near future. I hope some of you become the next successful smart entrepreneurs and join our annual RMIT Entrepreneurship Forum as a panelist in the near future. Again, thanks for your kind support and participation. Thanks for Mr. Song, also Ms. Xuan, also Mr. Toan, also Ms. Natalie. Also, especially this event wouldn't have been possible without the support of the SBM event team behind the screen. Then I hope I can see you in the next RMIT event as we are running the future event. I hope we can see you soon in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again, everyone.
Thank you.